When you think of iconic fight venues, Times Square probably isn't at the top of the list, but on this night, the heart of New York pulsed like Vegas. Neon, nostalgia, and two men with everything to prove.
In the fight that most fans are probably most focused on because of Ryan Garcia's enormous social media popularity in favor of Garcia. They both weighed in at 146. There's a 2-inch reach gap in favor of Garcia.
Gentlemen, you both know the rules. Obey my commands and protect yourself at all times. Touch close now. Come on, fighting at the bell.
Promoters pulled out all the stops. This wasn't just a fight, it was a full cinematic production brought to life by Golden Boy Promotions, Matchroom Boxing, and Warriors Promotions, backed by the massive PIF of Saudi Arabia. From Milov Kola to the creators of Fatal Fury, the sponsor list looked like a movie premiere. Ryan Garcia entered the ring wearing blue, 146.8 pounds of sleek confidence. Across from him stood Rolly Romero in pink and yellow, 146.6 pounds, with 13 knockouts in 16 wins, both stepping into unfamiliar territory, the welterweight division. The crowd, buzzing and uncertain after a slow night of fights, finally saw what they paid for. This wasn't just about punches, it was about reputation, momentum, and proving who really belongs in the spotlight. As Michael Buffer's voice echoed off LED screens and skyscrapers, the world held its breath. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Ryan Garcia was the favorite, the flashier name, the faster hands. But in round two, Rolly Romero sent shockwaves through Times Square and through Garcia's jaw. The first...
Ryan Garcia, that last fight against them.
Oh my God! A double hook right on the chin, dropped him in the second round.
Gentlemen, you received instructions in the dressing room.
The first round, all Garcia. He stuck the jab, controlled range, looked sharp and composed. But boxing doesn't care about clean technique when someone loads a cannon. For the first 3 minutes, it looked like Ryan Garcia was exactly who everyone said he was. Calm, crisp, in control. His jab was sharp, his footwork fluid, and his defense composed. The crowd, still buzzing from the Times Square spectacle, settled into the rhythm they expected, Garcia dictating pace with textbook precision.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. No. Oh.
What no one realized was that round one was a mirage. Yes, Garcia was scoring. Yes, Romero seemed hesitant. But behind those awkward feints and strange stances, Rolly was calculating, reading timing, gauging reactions. The very things that made Romero unpredictable, his foot placement, the stutter steps, the stiff-armed jabs, were doing their job, disrupting rhythm and forcing Garcia to fight reactively. Romero didn't care about looking pretty. He cared about creating chaos.
Most definitely. And he's going to definitely offset what Rolly's trying to do. Just land a big counterpunch. Good jab.
By the end of round one, Garcia's jab was still landing, but something was off. The speed was there, but the commitment wasn't. He wasn't stepping in behind his shots. He was jabbing to measure, not to hurt. Meanwhile, Romero had started inching closer, landing probing body shots, flicking jabs, and smirking in between. And in hindsight, that smirk was a warning. Round one gave Garcia false confidence and gave Romero all the data he needed. It lulled the audience into thinking this was going to be a boxing clinic. But under the surface, the brawler from Vegas was setting a trap. And in just a few minutes, that trap would snap shut. Because round two didn't just change the fight, it revealed what round one had hidden. Midway through round two, Romero uncorked a double left hook. The first grazed, the second landed flush on the chin. Garcia dropped hard. Not just physically, but emotionally. The vibe flipped instantly. The fight turned from a strategic showcase into a survival match.
Ryan Garcia, that last fight against them.
Oh my God!
To his credit, Garcia got up, but the swagger? Gone. The hesitation crept in. Every twitch from Romero was now a threat, and Garcia, despite all that talk, wasn't launching that signature left hook like he used to. And that's the thing about power. One shot can rewrite the script, one clean hook can reset momentum, disrupt timing, and rattle even the most talented fighter. Garcia may have been favored, but Rolly Romero just reminded everyone, this is boxing, and no one walks away untouched. After the knockdown, Garcia didn't collapse. He recalibrated, but the question loomed, was it enough? Ryan Garcia knew he had to adjust, and quickly. The left hook wasn't landing, the right hand wasn't finding home, so he went back to basics, the jab.
And now we move to round.
There you go.
From rounds 3 through 6, Garcia jabbed like his life depended on it, and in a way it did. It was less about scoring clean and more about disrupting Romero's rhythm, creating space, regaining confidence.
Too close, Jim.
Well, the knockdown is the difference in the fight.
Meanwhile, Romero stayed patient, focused. He didn't overcommit. He didn't get reckless. For a fighter often criticized for being wild, Romero was shockingly composed. And that composure was dangerous. At this point, the fight had become a chess match between opposites. Garcia, the polished technician looking for flow, and Romero, the rugged brawler waiting for a mistake to detonate another bomb. But after that second round knockdown, even Garcia's sharpest weapons seemed dulled by doubt. Rounds 4 to 8 weren't just about boxing. They were about psychology. Who would break first? Who would blink?
One of these fighters need to show some separation. You feel me? Win a round decisively or something. These rounds are just too close, Jim.
Well, the knockdown is the difference in the fight.
By the fourth round, something subtle but critical was happening. The tempo slowed, but not in the way you might expect. This wasn't a lull. It was hesitation. From Garcia, Romero, who many thought would be the wild card in this fight, began showing serious ring discipline. He wasn't charging in. He wasn't taking unnecessary risks. He was waiting, forcing Garcia to commit first. But Garcia, he looked trapped between two minds. Should he throw? Should he wait? Should he try to bait Romero into a mistake? The result was a fighter second-guessing himself in real time, round after round. Commentators noticed. Even his trainer Derek James was pleading from the corner, let your hands go, just score, even on the arms. But Garcia's offense remained one punch at a time. And that's not how you beat someone like Rolly Romero, who thrives on low output and chaos. Romero's feints and twitchy movements weren't just awkward, they were effective. They threw Garcia off rhythm, kept him from planting his feet, and prevented him from ever feeling comfortable enough to set up the signature left hook. And as the rounds slipped by, so did Garcia's window for momentum. There was a moment in round 6 where Garcia finally landed a solid signature left hook and a follow-up jab. The crowd roared, but instead of pressing the advantage, he stepped back, measured, safe. The killer instinct wasn't there. This wasn't the explosive Ryan Garcia who starched Devin Haney with surgical precision.
As frequently as it needs to happen. Oh, he's got it locked again!
This was a fighter trying to solve a puzzle with gloves on against someone who had already flipped the board over in round 2. And that raised a bigger question. Was Ryan too focused on the October rematch with Haney to fully commit to the war right in front of him? As the fight entered its final quarter, time was not on Ryan Garcia's side. With only 4 rounds to go, Ryan Garcia had a choice: go out swinging, or let the clock finish what Romero started. Down on the unofficial cards and still reeling from that early knockdown, Garcia needed something big, a knockdown, a rally, anything to shake the rhythm of the fight. But that urgency never fully materialized. Romero, meanwhile, stayed locked in. While not throwing in high volume, he kept the pressure steady. Garcia, already conservative for most of the night, became even more reserved, almost as if the ghosts of Haney, the PED accusations, and a chaotic year were all weighing down his gloves.
So it's still a fight as Romero drives Garcia toward the corner with a series of body shots.
And that looks good from the judges' eye.
The crowd could feel it. Even the commentators began questioning what had happened to the electric speed and timing that once made Garcia look like a generational star. There were jabs, there were attempts at combinations, but the power shots, the signature left hook, still missing. Then came round 11, a moment that could have rewritten the narrative. Garcia's trainer, Derek James, urged him to let his hands go, emphasizing the need for a knockout. However, Garcia remained hesitant. And Romero continued to apply pressure, landing the better power shots throughout the round. Round 12 began with Garcia bouncing, nodding, trying to hype himself up. But it was Romero who landed the cleaner punches in the final minute. Hooks to the body, looping rights up top, nothing devastating, but enough to stamp his control on the fight's final act. When the bell rang, there wasn't celebration. There was confusion. And then
Judges Tony Bello and Tom Schreck both scored it 115 to 112.
And then, shock.
Unanimous decision. Rolando Rolly Romero.
Garcia's corner looked stunned. Romero's corner exploded with relief. And online, outrage. The boxing world erupted with debate. Was this a deserved victory? Did Garcia really do enough? Even seasoned analysts were divided. Some pointed to Garcia's clean jabs and defensive adjustments. Others emphasized Romero's effective aggression and the early knockdown as decisive factors. But the verdict was final. Rolly Romero by unanimous decision. On paper, Garcia landed more jabs, more clean touches. He had a higher connect percentage in several rounds. But if you only look at punch stats in this fight, you miss the truth entirely. Because while Garcia was tapping, Romero was detonating.
Ryan Garcia, that last fight against
Oh my gosh! A double hook! A double hook, short hook.
From round 3 onward, Romero didn't outwork Garcia. He outhurt him. Every shot Rolly landed looked heavier, more deliberate. Even when Garcia flurried, Romero's single counters silenced the exchange. And when Garcia moved, it was often away from pressure, not into control. This wasn't a volume fight, it was about impact. Romero's punches made noise, not just in the arena, but in Garcia's body language. After each clean right or digging left to the body, Garcia would reset, but not respond. The twitch in his shoulders, the slight delay in his jab, the bounce that slowed in his feet. These weren't technical choices, they were physical reactions to being touched by real power. And the judges saw that. Even when Garcia was ahead on the CompuBox numbers, he was behind in the room. You could feel it in the way Romero's corner surged with every shot, while Garcia's side sat anxious, waiting for a spark that never came. This is the flaw in the punch count obsession. It doesn't account for force, for momentum, for the way a thudding right hand can steal a round even if it's the only one that lands. Romero didn't need to win every minute. He just needed to win the moments that made the audience and the judges lean forward. So when the scorecards came in and people screamed robbery, they weren't wrong about the numbers. They just forgot that in boxing, power always leaves the last impression. The lights of Times Square have dimmed, but the echoes of this bout will resonate for years. The aftermath of this fight extends beyond the ring. For Ryan Garcia, this loss is more than just a mark on his record. After a year-long suspension for a failed drug test, his return was highly anticipated. However, the defeat raises questions about his future in the sport and whether he can reclaim his previous form. Rolly Romero.
At the punch that put Garcia down.
Right there, ooh.
Boom.
He caught him twice right there, but that hook was solid right on the chin, and he didn't load up or nothing. He just was in rhythm.
Rolly Romero, on the other hand, has solidified his status as a formidable contender. His victory over Garcia not only earned him the WBA regular welterweight title, but also disrupted the anticipated rematch between Garcia and Devin Haney. The boxing landscape has shifted. New rivalries may emerge, and the path to championship bouts has become more complex. For fans and fighters alike, the only certainty is the unpredictability of the sport. In boxing, it's not just about the punches you land, it's how you respond when everything goes wrong. This was more than just a fight. It was a referendum on momentum, mental strength, and the future of two polarizing boxers. Ryan Garcia came in with the spotlight, a redemption arc, and a city stage beneath his feet. But the power of Rolly Romero, backed by discipline and quiet preparation, rewrote the script in real time.
words over the years. Who do you fight next?
Man, I ain't even thinking about what's next. I think Devin and Ryan should get their rematch and make a big one.
Romero now has options, a potential unification bout, a rematch clause, Or maybe even the Haney fight that once belonged to Garcia. He's earned the power to choose. For Garcia, the road is murkier. One loss doesn't define a career, but two high-profile stumbles, both following periods of turmoil, beg a deeper question. Is this still the same Ryan Garcia fans fell in love with? Or has the storm outside the ring finally seeped inside?
What went wrong in there?
You know, just Rolly's, man. He fought a good fight, caught me early. No excuses, man. Congrats to him. He did a great job, and that's that.
And yet, it's not over. In boxing, nothing ever is. One viral knockout, one clean camp, one fight night done right, and everything changes again. Because in the hurt business, glory and disaster are always just one round apart.